And now, the Sons of Liberty show on the CB Media Network.
Due to the graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
We've been fighting a long time, and we have all lost so very much, so many loved ones gone. But you are not alone. There are pockets of resistance all around the planet. We are at the brink.
Now we find ourselves facing a tyranny that has been infused with new blood, and it is rapidly becoming an engorged, hard tyranny. And yes, I know you gutter-minded listeners picked up on that not-so-subtle metaphor. I used it on purpose because a hard tyranny serves one purpose and one purpose only, to screw its subjects. No force, no attitude, no emotion, no nation, no person can hold any modicum of power, much less utter dominion over a sovereign individual, except through the sanction that is given by that individual.
But for me being a worldwide depression,
in doing so, we will honor the vows of our founders, who in the Declaration of Independence said that we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This legislation will lead to healthier lives, more liberty to pursue hope and dreams and happiness.
Federal government, yes, can and do most anything in this country.
Just who the hell do you think you people are?
There's your dichotomy, folks. Do you want to be treated like children, or do you want to be treated like adults with brains of your own who can make your own decisions? That's the bottom line between new progressivism, which is really old communism, or conservatism, which is what started this great nation. Which hand are you going to choose?
If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.
Alrighty then, hello everyone, welcome to the Sons of Liberty show. I am your Iron Man of classical liberal thought, Bradley, always wielding Occam's razor like a surgeon's scalpel to fillet red herrings, sever Gordian knots, and dissect progs to expose their filthy, steaming, putrescent, lie-filled guts for your amazement, amusement, bewilderment, and finally, hopefully, disgust, because we should all be nauseated at the slightest olfactory intrusion of the stench emanating from those troglodytes. During the course of the several weeks prior, I have been dutifully stoking the fires of truth so as to reach optimal temperature to fry straw men to a crisp and melt down boilerplate to its bare essence, which is usually as dark as the pits of hell itself. So welcome to the Sons of Liberty show, where the dissemination of information takes a backseat to nothing save the occasional foray into snark. And the usual and customary disclaimer here on the Sons of Liberty show: the views expressed by the host on this program are not insensitive, they are rather logical. If you perceive them to be insensitive, it merely points out your own hypersensitivity, so go to hell instead of trying to turn this world into it. And of course, I am broadcasting live this evening, January 12th, 2013. Oh my God, 2013! From the great Commonwealth of Virginia, where our motto is Sic Semper Tyrannis, which means thus always to tyrants. And if you've ever seen the flag of the Commonwealth of Virginia and the insignia thereupon, then you will understand what thus is, and you will further understand why tyrants generally don't survive it. So, with all of that said, wow, I have not been behind the microphone here in the semi-palatial satellite studios of the conservative broadcast media apparatus in over a month now, and a lot has happened since then. I'm glad you're here listening, and I'm glad I'm here joining you again, finally, after such a long hiatus. And I guess the first question on many of your minds would be, why such a long hiatus? Well, the holidays, for one, Christmas, New Year's, spending time with family, a lot of overtime at work, finishing up 2012, and also a lot of introspection and collaboration, conference calls, a lot of conversations, let's say, over the last month about the state of our nation, which I'm led to believe exactly 1 month from tonight, on February 12th, Abraham Lincoln's birthday, our newly reelected Sun King, Leroy Soleil Obama, will be giving his State of the Union address, but I'm going to tell you tonight, a month early, what the state of our union is, and it's not pretty, folks. It is not pretty at all. So, stepping back and assessing the situation, understanding that we have 4 more years of a runaway, wannabe tin horn dictator as our president for another 4 years, things are likely to get extremely nasty, especially if the Republicans, the GOP, in the House, with the weaker speaker who just got reelected, John Boehner there, boning us, if that House does not grow a backbone, go through puberty, I guess, grow some hair on their nether regions, and man up, basically, then we are in for a very bumpy ride over the next 4 years. The fact of the matter is, folks, the House of Representatives holds the purse strings in this country. Under our Constitution, Article 1 clearly lays out the power of the purse, and all taxing and spending authority must originate in the House of Representatives. So this next 4 years, the proposition of this next 4 years should not be too big a deal with the loyal opposition controlling the purse strings. But we have seen consistently, time and again, that the loyal opposition is anything but. They cannot be loyally counted on to oppose. They can certainly be loyally counted on to compromise, capitulate, and otherwise bohica at every turn. And this is a very distressing situation. So, what I've been doing over the last month, again, a lot of conversations all across the fruited plain with grassroots activists at the national, state, and local levels, trying to determine what might possibly be a workaround, if you will. You know, I have said for a little over 3 years now on the Sons of Liberty show at various hosting locations, I've been saying for over 3 years now that the solutions to the problems that we face are not going to be found inside of the 495 Beltway in Washington, D.C., in that godforsaken swamp we call our nation's capital. The grinding government gristmill that resides there will not churn out the solution that we seek. The solution to our problems, and I guess first we should lay out the problems, but I think we all pretty much get that, don't we? If you're listening to this show, if you're listening to my voice on this show, even if it's your first time listening, you tuned in for a reason. You tuned in for the reason that you understand the dire situation we find ourselves in. You understand that the bulk of the problems that we face as a nation and as a civil society come down to one simple fact. Our federal government, which was supposed to have been a general government, has now morphed into, over a period of, well, really the last 120, 130 years, has morphed into a martial government, marshaling us about into every nook and cranny of our private lives from a federal level. That is the root, that is the crux of the problem that we face. It is that one thing, the growth and intrusion of federal, I won't even say authority, because they have none in the areas that they have decided to insinuate themselves into. But the powers and the scope of our martial government have grown to such an extent that they dwarf personal liberty, personal responsibility, personal relationships, and interpersonal relationships within the civil society. All of that becomes altered the larger government becomes. This is a historically proven fact. So, that being the major problem that we face, what might the solutions be? Such a large, broad, overarching problem must have a large, broad, overarching solution, one would think. And one would be sorely mistaken. See, the problem of a large, expansive, intrusive federal government is the most local government possible. A refocusing, if you will. So for the last month, I have been going about my duties over at The Trenches, a website that looks at things from a slightly different perspective. The writers there and the founder there, it's thetrenches.us. You've heard me talk about it on this show before. The writers and the founder there look at things not from the perspective of, ooh, look at the bullying tactics that the left used today. Look at this particular Democrat and how they screwed up today. Look at these overarching issues and let's